Well, that sucked. Cubs dropped their second straight to the Cardinals, and the good news is they can still split, I guess. We're not really talking about that tonight. But if you did miss the game, congrats. You missed. It was painful. You didn't miss anything. Anyway, a lot to discuss coming up on CHGO Cubs. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and bet 365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use code CHGO365 at sign up. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thumbs down for the Chicago Cubs. Thumbs up for me and Corey Freedman for actually coming here and doing this show, because right now I'd rather be at the bottom of Lake Michigan. And I think Corey would probably rather just be at home. Maybe,
I think I'd be at the bottom of the lake with you, honestly.
Maybe a little sunny side,
and
something
then I
like
jump
that.
in the lake.
And then the lake,
Yeah.
Anyway, hello to everyone in the live YouTube chat. Hit the like button for us. I know there is a lot of thoughts on this one, so we'll try and read as many comments as we can. I don't even really know exactly where to start. Obviously, at least with the game. We're going to talk about the game. How it ended, the pitching, and obviously trade deadline stuff that we've kind of been covering the last couple of weeks. But there was an article from Jeff Passan and Kiley McDaniels that I feel like we should go over tonight. So a lot to unpack throughout the show, but obviously we're going to start with the game. Cubs lose 8-7 to the Cardinals, and if you all know me, I hate them more than many things. They're at the very top of my hate list. So this sucks to sit here and have to do this for the second straight night. And Corey, let's start with the offense. I thought the offense was awesome. Now you scored 7 runs.
Yeah. But
you also squandered some opportunities. And I can't help but not bring up Pecor Armstrong bunting in the 7th inning. And maybe Craig Counsell will give us some form of an answer in postgame. But as we sit here right now, I don't think Craig Counsell told him to bunt.
No.
It wasn't a great bunt. And also, Pete, you are quite literally in the MVP race, man. Runners on base. I know it's a lefty on the mound, but you had a blunder earlier in the game, redemption. You ended up getting a hit in the 9th inning, but you had a moment earlier. And so I guess before I truly go much further myself, Corey, what were you thinking in that moment?
Well, I mean, I think, look, starting a little more generally, I agree with our guy Kevin Wells, who was in the chat earlier, saying, the sky doesn't have to be falling. They're obviously not playing good baseball. They are still in first place. We knew there were going to be moves to be made, and we knew that there were some flaws on this team, and they've been more heavily exposed recently. They're kind of running out of gas on some of these things. And I agree with the chat. The big, to me, story of this game, as it's been kind of recently, is the starting pitching. Yeah. Starting pitching is a problem. And Jameson Taillon was really bad tonight, just like Ben Brown was really bad last night. But I have a feeling we're going to yell about that for a while, so maybe we can get the offense out of the way. And look, you got 13 hits, you out-hit them, and you scored 7 runs. What was the stat I just read to you? That they've lost 3 games in the last week where they've scored at least 6 runs.
Yep.
So you definitely, frustrating end, right? PCA. I mean, you couldn't make up an explanation for that bunt that would lead to me saying, oh, okay, actually, I like that call. Dumb call. Tying run is on third base. The weather is warm. You got a guy with 21 homers at the plate. I know he's young and not as good situationally, but like, what are we doing there? Because like you and I talked about this, Kyle Tucker was barely off of third base. So if there was some call that was put on, Tucker didn't seem super aware of it. If it was a suicide squeeze, it definitely wasn't. Tucker did not get that signal. If it was a safety squeeze, he's certainly not going to go once it's bunted right back to the pitcher, but he wasn't even really taking like a particularly good like lead and jump. So I think that was just a mix-up and a mistake. It happens. I mean, it's a bummer. And then, look, we'll get into it. I'm sure it's something that everybody wants to talk about. There it was. Guess who's up with the game on the line? Your 5-hitter, Dansby Swanson. And we've been through this a million times. I feel like Brendan and I have said the same stuff over and over again, defending Dansby in the sense of this is who he is. He's not a 5-hitter. He's not a 4-hitter. He never was. He never should be. It's not his fault that he keeps getting put there. If you want to get mad at him for not coming through, be my guest.
Yeah.
This is who he is. This is what a league average-ish hitter looks like, right? Sometimes he's ripping dingers. Sometimes he looks like he can't buy a hit. I'm not the one that keeps putting him in the 5-hole. I bring this up every time, Cody. Where did he hit for the Atlanta Braves when they won the World Series?
In the 9-hole, right?
In the 9-hole. Yeah. Stop putting him in the 5-hole. Yeah. You're asking, and look, the options aren't good, especially against lefties, because Bush and PCA aren't as good against lefties, though you could argue they need the experience to like truly figure that out. But the options aren't great. Like, you could put Nico up there. You could put Bush up there against lefties. You would have liked him there against Halsey, righty, in the 9th.
Yep.
But, his numbers against lefties aren't good. So the options aren't great once Carson Kelly came down to earth. But at this point, even if it's just a change for the sake of making a change, you're watching Dansby come up in these spots way too frequently, and it's not working. And it was great when he was hitting in the 8 spot, on pace for 25 homers or whatever it is, 720-ish OPS. It's great from your Gold Glove elite defender shortstop. But when you put him in the 5-hole, it sort of changes the conversation. Whoever is in your 5-hole has to come through in these opportunities more often. But it's also one of those nights where, I don't know, man, 13 hits, 7 runs. Like, how mad am I at the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I start with the offense because obviously there's a lot of things to talk about the pitching. But, yeah, you scored 7 runs, but also you had key missed opportunities. And it starts with the inning where PCA bunted. And I don't get it. I'm looking at how the inning played out on MLB.com right now. Tucker walks with 1 out. Seiya singled it. Seiya had a great night. Even though he struck out in the 9th inning, I can't be mad at him that much about striking out in the 9th. This is half the reason they were even in the game, right? And then Pete comes up with 1 out, 2 guys on, and we're bunting.
Terrible.
There was one particular show within the last 3 weeks. The weather, like, it's crazy because we're in a heat wave right now, and it feels like decades ago when it was actually cold. Like, remember in May when it was like still kind of chilly? Even early June, there was like the first week of June, it was still kind of chilly. Winds blowing in at Wrigley. It might have been at Wrigley. It might have been on the road somewhere else. But there was a game where I was like actually supporting. We should bunt here because like the offense is dead right now. The conditions aren't great. Like, this is a good day to try and bunt and do something crazy. It's 97 degrees or whatever in St. Louis. The ball's flying out of the park, and we have a guy that I've been pushing that should be in the NL MVP race bunting, and.
Well, at that point, what had there been 14 runs scored in the game or whatever? Whatever it is, like
it was 8-5 at the time.
Like it's a hitter's environment. It's a hitter's environment. Like, swing the bat.
Right. It was 8-7 at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm just frustrated with that decision, and I'm not sitting here saying like that I'm taking everything back that I've ever said about PCA or anything. This is one game, and we have to remember that PCA is a large reason that the Cubs are even in first place, even have the opportunity for us to, or giving us the opportunity to even talk about him being an MVP candidate and the Cubs being a real playoff threat. All right. So everyone has their bad night. And Pete's had some bad nights, whether it's striking out or, this or that. But I would say from the mental side, this is a game where that really showed.
One of the only times I that I can remember that we've seen, you have bad nights. You go for 4 with 4 Ks, whatever. This was the only night where it was this was a bad night. The play in the outfield, forgetting how many outs there were. At least that's what I assume. We're watching on TV. I can't hear the press conference right now.
Yeah.
Because, the two options are that he forgot or he was, loafing around. I don't really buy the latter.
I think he just forgot.
He knew there was a runner on second. So I think he definitely forgot. That's bad. It's an unacceptable play. But at the same time, he's 23 years old. He's made a lot of exceptional plays. And we were talking about it in the office here. I know it's easy because he was literally traded for him. But drawing the comparison to Joe Madden and Javi Baez, and how Joe managed Javi in those early years. And I'll always remember the discussion of not coaching the aggressiveness out of him, not coaching the Javi out of Javi. And that was just a boneheaded play in center. I'd venture to say he never does that again. He's been excellent in the outfield. And usually not just in terms of catching balls that have a 5% catch probability, but being in the right spot, backing up plays, throwing to the right bases, things like that.
Making all the routine
plays.
So
it's guys have mental lapses. It sucks. Cost him the game. It's literally the run that lost this game. But it happens, man.
Yeah.
Overall though, I agree with you. He's a superstar. He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason. I would say it's probably Kyle Tucker, but whatever. That the Cubs are in this position, and you want this. It's all just to say you want this to be a learning experience for him. You're young. You've got a lot of game left in Major League Baseball. You're going to play in some games on bigger stages. You're going to play games on smaller stages. Use this as a learning experience. Bad decision to call that bunt on your own, and you can lose a game by losing track of how many outs there are and stuff like that. But we don't need to turn it into something bigger than that, right? A couple bad plays. He's been great. He's your guy. Stand behind him, lift him up tomorrow, and hopefully he takes a little bit from it.
Joey, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to tack on to what you're saying, Corey. I think the learning experience, is the huge thing that Cubs fans need to take away from this one, where PCA in an interview earlier this year talked about in the minor leagues, talked about honing his passion. And I think in this particular case, that kind of mistake, which let's just call it on its face, is completely humiliating, right? I think the passion got away from him a little bit, and every time he stepped up to the plate, he wanted to hit that 7-run home run. When it comes to the bunt, again, it's a little bit of a learning experience of one, read the room. Kyle Tucker's on third base. If it's Nico Horner or Matt Shaw, I can actually buy the concept of him bunting, even if it was a bad bunt back to the pitcher, of the concept of making them at least make a decision or something at least going on with home plate or throwing to first base. But again, a learning experience. You have 21 home runs, dude. He doesn't need to be the guy that bunts in that situation. He needs to trust his skills.
Well, and look, he comes up there in the 9th inning and rips a double off of, I know Halsey's had his struggles, but a guy, guy pumping 101, you go up there,
keep the
you keep your stuff together and you rip a ball into the gap there, that's a good response.
He almost had redemption.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Don't those are
especially
bad plays.
After he threw the bat into the dugout.
They're bad plays. We don't have to sugarcoat it. Just because he's PCA and he's our guy and he's our MVP. Those are bad plays. The bunt is terrible. The thing in the outfield is even worse. It cost him the game.
Yeah.
But they're just single mistakes. They happen from time to time. He's been great. He bounced back in that 9th inning, kept his head right, and gave you what you needed in that 9th inning. And he'll be better for it, I think, going forward.
We got some super chats that I'll get to after the break. I'm going to point out, Godfather, though, we are not making excuses. I've literally just spent the last 15 minutes pointing out one particular play.
Yeah.
All right? So no one's making an excuse here.
We're about to take a dump on Jameson Taillon, so there's going to be no excuses from us.
Yeah, so I just want to make it clear that no one here is making excuses for Pete Armstrong. We're just looking at the big picture. You have to remember this team is good because of him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play better tomorrow. But the bunting and the forgetting how many outs there were in the outfield, that's bad, objectively bad. All right? More to talk about this game after the break. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. There's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. The Grand Highlander has plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families or long road trips. Summer starts here. From adventures to weekend escapes, our versatile lineup is ready to ride with amazing deals to match. So visit your local dealer and find yours today. You can check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. And also, it's the perfect time to become a CHGO diehard and upgrade your fandom today. Get access to all our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch, and events like the Friday 120 Club rooftop at Wrigley View that we've been talking about this show, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where you hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. Go to allchgo.com for more of the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards on our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level.
And just like the Cubs need a home field advantage at Wrigley Field, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Not like those big box stores, Cody. You're not going to have a guy who was working in plumbing the day before. You're not going to have people making stuff up to try to sell you. These folks at Empire are dedicated to flooring. They live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It is a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. You can get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right, a $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
During that moment, I mentioned that we are doing a Friday 120 Club rooftop. August 15th. Was going to talk about at the beginning of the show. We're doing August 15th at the Wrigley View rooftop, which is the last, I believe, the last rooftop that's not owned by the Cubs. I believe it's right above the firehouse or right next door to the firehouse. They play the Pirates that day. And the reason we haven't promoted on social media yet is it's literally just, we're selling just the diehards to start. And if we don't sell out, then we'll open it up to the public. But starting with just the diehards, put it in the Discord today. If you're a diehard and you haven't been in the Discord today, I dropped the link in there, but it's at our events page on allchgo.com. Make sure to get in on that. So if you want to come, at least should be a good time. I've been in that one before for a little bit, and it's fun. So anyway, let's do these super chats. Toyota super chats. Steven, PCA's leash needs to be tight. Terrible effort. Council needs to hold PCA accountable for another $2. Thank you, Steven. And Ramon, 1987, $4.99. Thank you, Ramon. Enough with the left, right, left batting order. Bush should hit fifth versus righties and Horner versus lefties. All right. I think we talked a lot. We talked about PCA. I personally feel like we're holding him accountable. Like I've openly said it was bad, and I started the show with it was bad. So I think we are now. I think
that's all you can do.
Right
now, all I would do.
Now I will say that I tweeted from CHGO Cubs after the play, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes after the play. It was like, if you were counsel, would you have pulled him from the game? And we got a lot of mixed replies.
Well, you only tweeted that because you're an engagement baiting
idiot podcaster. Yeah, I was told by that from someone with a burner account. But yeah, I mean, would I have pulled him? I probably wouldn't have, just because of what you said about how Joe Madden had to let Javi be Javi. That said, there were times that Joe Madden pulled Javi, or he sat him the next day.
I think that's the thing. Like PCA's not routinely making these mistakes. He's not routinely like Javi in those periods, like, would get thrown out trying to stretch an obvious single into a double and things like that. Like this is a pretty rare occurrence from Pete, and so like. I think that is, to me, in this moment, holding him accountable. Like, I think anything else is a little extreme. And you don't want your 23-year-old superstar. Like, again, we just don't want to make this into a big thing. It's not. And I'm reading the quote from him now. He said, "I didn't do a very good job of playing baseball today." Right. That's it.
Yeah.
If this was like a habitual thing, he's making some egregious mistake every other day, but he's not. He's the best player on the field, basically, every day, who's making great decisions and giving you massive effort en route to a potential MVP season. It doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want, but, like, guy has one bad game where he makes, some big mistakes. Okay, you learn from it, you turn the page, and you go on. But I do think we've reached the point where we got to talk about the meatball crew, the Cubs rotation.
Yeah. The other super chat, you mentioned about Dansby being a 5-hitter.
Being a 5-hitter.
Yeah, about how he shouldn't hit fifth. And related to the super chat that Ramon sent, like, I agree. Like, at this point, am I okay with 4 out of the 5 hitters in the top 5 of the lineup being lefties?
Yeah.
Yes, because you don't have Miguel Amaya right now, and Justin Turner just hasn't performed for you. Yeah. I see people complaining about Brujan and Birdie all the time on social media, and I feel like their roles are, like, if we're complaining about them not hitting, then everyone else is struggling. Their roles are guys who come in and pinch run and can play multiple positions. You give a start occasionally. The team hasn't played well enough lately to warrant them to start a game.
Yeah.
So would I like them to be hitting better? Yes, but it's not like they're getting a ton of opportunities anyway. So whatever, like, that's what I got with that.
I don't have any problem with the two of them. I think the problem is that you have 4 roster spots right now.
Yeah.
And none of them
And you don't feel
hit.
good about anyone hitting off the bench.
Shaw, you're letting develop as a young player, so that's like a separate situation. But, like, it's fine if you have guys who are just there for speed or just there for defense. You can't have 4 roster spots where nobody can hit. I mean, it's well evidenced in the way this game plays out. Now, I said this when we were sitting in the studio. I would have let Justin Turner hit instead of Carson Kelly because
he's a good
situational hitter. And, like, you even saw it yesterday. He didn't quite get it through, but he saw that hole on the right side. He tried to put it through there. Like, he at least has that, like, vision and control of, like, all right, what do I need in this spot? We just need to get this run in. We just need a soft base hit. He can go up there and try to do that. Kelly hit the ball well yesterday. He's been hitting the ball. So I didn't hate it, but I think that's indicative of the problem.
Yeah.
When you're swapping your left-handed catcher against a righty for your right-handed catcher who has not been hitting well over the last month plus, instead of anybody that's on your bench, it's like, well, what exactly are they doing on your bench, right? So, yeah, like, I don't care about the lefty right at this point. You don't have a choice. Like, Bush, I'd rather Bush be up there against righties. I'm fine if you want to do Nico against lefties. At the very least, like, you just got to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Dansby is who he is, and that's perfectly fine. And we can get into the weeds of, he is worth the money, and he is really good at playing baseball. He does not need to be hitting in the 5-hole.
I agree. And I just wanted to point out, like, that I think that's the reason why Craig is doing it. But there has to be some form of a line at some point, man. Okay. Jameson Taillon today.
Woof.
4 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Back-to-back bad starts for JMO after he had a really good run. He had a really good run of really good starts, quality starts. Me and you got to go on social media and make jokes about hot garbage, and it was fun. And in general, I still feel the same about Jameson Taillon, but I've always felt the same thing about Jameson Taillon. He is a solid middle-of-the-rotation starter. Even when he was pitching well, I don't think people thought, oh, this guy is having a career year or anything like that. I don't think anyone actually thought that, but if you did, then, like, you set yourself up to being extremely pissed off about his last 2 starts. The overarching point that I'm trying to make, though, is that this ain't going to get it done, especially when the rotation is without Justin Steele and
Yeah.
Shodi Imanaga until Thursday. And also, like, when is someone going to stop the bleeding? The starting rotation has been atrocious since, last Tuesday? Last Tuesday was the last day the Cubs allowed 3 or less runs as a team.
I mean, like, it's not the point you're making, but I thought Cade was good.
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend.
Sorry.
He deserved better than
yeah,
that.
he did deserve better. I'm sorry, Cade.
Yeah.
You were correct about Cade Horton.
Your
but,
point's the same, though.
Yeah. I think he ended up getting charged with 3 runs, but was also, 3 earned, 6 overall.
Yeah.
But whatever. But, yeah, the point is that the rotation hasn't pitched well of late. We're gonna talk about guys that Jed Hoyer can add all this and that. We've talked, me and Luke and Kevin and you and Brendan. We've talked about Sandy Alcantara, all those things. There's a reason that we're talking about those guys, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, someone in this rotation that we currently have needs to stop the bleeding, man. Yeah. Someone's got to stop the bleeding, and maybe I should give more credit to Matt Boyd too. Matt Boyd was fine in his 1-star considering the conditions, but.
Well,
This was really disappointing from Taillon, who I feel like when he has a bad start, he normally bounces back. And also, he was given a 5-2 lead, man. And the very next half inning, he gives up another 2-run homer.
Given a 5-2 lead after he put them in a 2-0 hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was given a chance at redemption after giving up the 2-run homer to Nootbaar. And he gives up another 2-run homer after that.
So
and then it just got worse.
I want to jump in and first, just because I saw it and I do know the answer, Casey in the YouTube chat earlier asked when Amaya might be coming back. They said today, probably around the All-Star break. Yeah. Just to answer that question for you, Casey. Obviously depends on his rehab, but that was the timing that I think Jed put out there today.
Yeah.
The starting pitching thing is one, I feel like if you've been listening to all of our episodes, really since the off season, like nobody has been trying to sell you that this rotation was great. Nobody. Nobody was trying to sell you that this group, right? Like if they got to October and it's Kyle Tucker trying to send the Cubs to the World Series, like I don't know about you, but I haven't been on a microphone saying, like, yeah, give the ball to Colin Ray, brother. Like, of course not. This was always going to be the case. And I would go further to say in the offseason, we all entered the season saying not enough. Yeah. And that was before Justin Steele got hurt. Yep. So this stretch that they're in was always coming. Like, Matthew Boyd's been great, and I expect him to continue, at least to some degree, like, because that's how he was pitching before he even came to the Cubs. Cade Horton has looked really nice. We'll see what Shota looks like. I don't know what to make of that. Like, we just didn't get such a huge sample from him, but he was obviously great last year. As you said, Taillon is who he is. He's a middle of the rotation guy at best. Colin Ray is a swing man that was not supposed to be starting every 5th day for you. And Ben Brown was a rookie that you were given a chance to, who, we'll touch on it, but obviously they sent down today to bring back Porter Hodge. Like, this was always going to be the potential. You always needed another starter, even when Justin Steele was healthy. So it was really a matter of, like, and I've said this before, like, this part of the season was surviving. Surviving until you can get reinforcements. And I see the discussion coming up in the chat a lot, like, Jed can't make other teams make trades. Yeah. They need it now. They need it, like, 2 weeks ago. But they may not be available, man. Like, some of the teams you're talking about, we talk about, like, Arizona. Like, a couple weeks ago, they may not have been as inclined to feel that they're out of things. And what are they, 3 out of a wild card spot? We don't even know if they feel that way now. Yeah. We have no idea. So, like, it's not that easy to just snap your fingers and make those changes. But I feel like everybody covering and talking about this team knew that this pitching situation wasn't going to be enough. Yeah. And you're seeing that sort of come to fruition. The thing I'll say about Taillon before we hit our second break here, I think he's first in the National League, second in baseball in home runs allowed. Getting like a John Lackey 2017 kind of vibe, right? Like, and he's got a FIP that's 5.2. Yeah, like that's not good. The peripherals are not good, and even you saw it these last few nights. And when we come back from the break, I want to get into a couple of things that's been getting to your point about like the guys in the rotation need to be better.
Yeah.
Because I think that there is something to that, and it's not just like magically saying like, oh, they got to be better. Like they're doing stuff that is, the process is bad, and like it's leading to bad results. But you're giving up a ton of home runs. You're walking guys. You got a FIP north of 5. Like it's not good, and Taillon's going to have to be better than what he's been given in these last few outings.
I agree. We'll talk more about the pitching and stuff after this break. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it. Fun to bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Like some of the futures about the Cubs this year, for sure. PCA to win NL MVP. Maybe the Cubs to win the division. And, we can a little sprinkle on the World Series. Why not? Why not? All right, download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We've all been there. Your parlay is one leg away, and then a relief pitcher comes up in a walk-off and hits a walk-off bomb in the 9th inning. Heartbreak. Unfortunately, it sounds very familiar. The HOF app is built to fix that, though. Started by 2 lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads, the HOF makes parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. This is not your buddy's group chat, Joey. All right? It's not full of hot takes. It's a full analytics engine. The HOF app gives you access to advanced stats, historical data, and powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for the everyday sports fan, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You get an idea of your parlays' chances to hit and identify weak legs so you can weed them out before you place them. Whether it's MLB, NBA, or any other sport, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight. Not hype. They believe everything the books know. You should know too, because parlays don't have to be dumb bets. With HOF, they aren't. All right? For a limited time, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, they also get 50% off their first month when they use code CHGO at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS and Android, or visit hofbets.com. Enter code CHGO, and you're all set. All right. So what you were talking about with Jameson Taillon and the pitching or whatever, like I've pointed this out a few times, like on social media and stuff. Like I was a big advocate to go sign Max Fried. And I swear I was like the only person on the freaking hill that wanted to go and trade for Jesus Luzardo. And everyone in my mentions and everyone in this chat was telling me, oh, the medicals though, like we can't do this. It's a risk. And I'm like, well, sometimes you got to take a big swing and see what happens, especially after you trade for Kyle Tucker and you risk Cam Smith going on to be the greatest player of all time. And I say that last part with a lot of sarcasm, but you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, I advocated for them to add more pitching. And the fact that they went into spring training where the only arm that they added was Matt Boyd, who at the time was a guy who has been hurt for a long time because of injuries that he had sustained via his arm, and he hadn't pitched over 100 innings in like 4 years. It was like the fact that we're sitting here at the end of June and Matt Boyd has been their best starter. Yeah. It's actually incredible. It's actually incredible. So,
but it's like this whole thing is like, duh. Like they needed pitching. We all said that all offseason. Of course. So
let me read this super chat from Mo. And I said that because of Mo's super chat. He says, remember, Cody, that I mentioned they needed to add more arms. Burns, Eovaldi, Pivetta, Flaherty were all available, and they did nothing, not even a trade. And that's, like, Mo, if you said it, I don't remember it, but, like, credit to you. You know ball, brother. Congrats. I think we all felt like they needed to get another arm, and they didn't.
This was with in mind thinking Justin Steele might go out and compete for a Cy Young.
Yes.
If you told me he was out for the year, I'd be like, you need to trade for a whole new rotation, brother. Like, what do you? But I wanna like at least point out too, like one of the real frustrating things is like similar to to Dansby, right? Like sometimes you don't want to get mad at the guy because of the situation he's been put in, right? You get mad at the situation. Dansby's not a 5-hitter. I wouldn't direct your ire to Dansby for not coming through in all those spots. I would direct it to the manager or the front office for not having a better situation where Dansby doesn't need to hit 5th. Similar in the rotation, like some of these guys you don't want pitching every fifth day, or you don't want Jameson Taillon in a position where, like, right now he kind of needs to be your number 2, I guess. Like, that's not him. Colin Ray, you didn't sign him to start literally every fifth day. You signed him to do that, like, in an emergency, which is what you're dealing with. So that's on the situation. But what's been frustrating these last several games, Cody, is a few things. The one that jumps out, especially from Ben Brown does it a lot, and Jameson Taillon, who I think does it a lot too. Really bad pitches with pitcher's counts. 0-2, 1-2, meatballs right over the plate.
Yeah.
And 2 strike counts that are turning into walks. Boog talked about it with Ben Brown last night, like non-competitive walks, where you're not like nibbling around the plate. They're not borderline. You're not going to get a guy to chase. The second it's out of your hand, it's in the dirt. It's high. They're never swinging at it. There's no choice for the hitter. And lastly, you're giving up way too many home runs to guys who this is like the 3rd time they've hit a home run all year. Happened against Seattle, happened against Milwaukee, and it's happening against these Cardinals. Now, sometimes guys get you. It happens. But you're giving up, like, getting beat by Cal Raleigh all weekend when the wind is blowing 40 miles an hour out of Wrigley Field. I really don't care. You can make the argument you don't want to pitch to him, but, like, you can't really do that every time. Whatever. Getting beat by, like, some of these other guys that are taking you deep, you're giving up home runs to, like, 8-9 hitters. And, like, the Brewers lineup, you're coming to the Cardinals, guys that have 3 homers are popping homers off of you. And too much of it is when you're ahead in the count, or you have 2 strikes on a hitter. You're not you're challenging guys with 2 strikes. It's like, make your pitch, man. Get him to chase. You don't need to throw a pitch in the zone here. It's been way too much poor execution lately from this starting staff. Not getting out bad hitters, not making your pitch and putting the batter away when you have 2 strikes, things like that. And so some of these guys have done a pretty good job, honestly, of filling in and being in the role that they've been asked to be in. But this last week or so has been a decent amount of, like, this is just this was a bad effort from Taillon tonight. This was, and it was the same as Ben Brown yesterday. Like, sometimes it's like, you take your lumps, he made good pitches, he got beat, or defense didn't back him up, or the BABIP luck was bad tonight. These two starts from Cubs pitchers have just been bad efforts. Not doing what their job is in each of these individual plate appearances, and it's killing them. I mean, and what? Have they given up 6 2-run homers in the last 2 days? And I was looking at a thing earlier. They've given up like 20 home runs in the last 9 games or the last week or so. I mean, they're just it's been meatball city for this staff. And
it's got to be better,
again,
man.
like, I think you pointed it out, but like even talking about tonight, like, we can look at areas the offense could have done more, but when you get 13 hits and 7 runs, like, you got to cash that in for a W, especially on the road. That's got to be a win.
Right. I think I don't have much else to say about Taillon other than it's got to be better. The rotation itself has to be better. So I just want to bring up, you mentioned earlier, Ben Brown was optioned today and Porter Hodge was activated. Obviously, everyone in this chat knows that I'm a big believer in Ben Brown. I'm okay that he went to Iowa. Largely the whole thing that I brought up about how I advocated for Max Fried and Jesus Luzardo and all this, like, if they would have done one of those things, I think Ben Brown's season might not be looked at with a microscope by a lot of fans and questioning this and that. And in all honesty, that's the only reason that I've defended him so much, because he's a young pitcher who has not even played a full season in Major League Baseball. And I got people in my mentions in this chat telling me that this guy just sucks. And I'm like, have you watched the games? So that is what it is. I'm not going any further in it. I hope he goes to Iowa and gets the confidence back, figures out that third pitch if we absolutely need it. And what that third pitch is, I'm assuming, is the changeup, because he has that, but he just never throws it. And on the flip side, this bullpen needs Porter Hodge to come back and be good. The bullpen was better tonight. If there was 1 or 2 positives from this game, the bullpen was great tonight. Bullpen did not give up any more runs The bullpen,
solid effort.
The bullpen was Thielbar, Flexen, Pomerantz, and Presley, and they all had their issues over the weekend.
Look, the offense almost came back and did it, and it was because the bullpen put the clamps
I would have loved to come on
it.
here and give the bullpen a lot of credit, especially after what happened over the weekend against Seattle.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is a sign of, things kind of leveling out with the bullpen. I still have my concerns. I still think they need more swing and miss, and Porter Hodge will bring that. But it's good to see, especially Flexen, Pomerantz, and Thielbar for me. Like, those guys got roughed up over the weekend. Good to see them kind of having.
Well, and Ryan Presley, the ground ball merchant, like they smack him on the ground.
Tell Brendan, take that.
Yes. Don't get him started, dude.
I have one other note. This is from Tommy Birch, and we've forgotten about this guy. And I'm not advocating, but Jordan Wicks made his second appearance since coming back from injury tonight, and he threw the Iowa Cubs lost 12-0, but he didn't start. He threw 3 innings of one earned ball, 6 strikeouts, and Tommy Birch said he had 13 whiffs. I'm not making some crazy generalization that this guy's going to come up and eat some innings, but it is a story developing. Like they need someone who could come and pitch, okay? And that guy at least has had major league success.
Yeah.
He has. So I don't have a lot of confidence in it, but maybe it's an option that they can go to as the season progresses, which would be crazy because a lot of people have forgotten about him.
You need as many as we've seen, right? Like as we've seen, and as part of the problem we're talking about, you need as many options as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
And especially for a guy that has shown an ability to get out at the MLB level, the more of them you can get healthy, get him right, get Javi Assad healthy, get him right. You got Porter Hodge healthy. I don't know that he's right yet. Like, I was just going to bring up, we'll see.
Yeah.
They might be seeing something, and maybe he was going through those rehab starts, not at full throttle. Not exactly, great numbers in his rehab stint. I think he walked more guys than he struck out. It just wasn't a great rehab stint for Porter Hodge. He had a couple blow-up outings while he was down there. But we'll see when he gets back there. I would imagine they're not going to chuck him into high leverage in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
And then, for Brown, it's a bummer that, this is ultimately where it ends up, but I think this was the right call. And I know that there's going to be some debate of, would you rather, if they make their next start, would you rather give the ball to Ben Brown once Shota's back, or would you rather give it to Colin Ray? And the way I would look at that is, Colin Ray is what he is. Right? He's a spot starter. He's going to give you, hopefully he goes out there, gives you 5 and, 4 runs or something like that. And, you take that on most nights. You would have taken that tonight, right? You might have won that game if you got that.
Sure.
He doesn't have stuff to, develop or, work on. And he can change stuff, right? Old dogs can learn new tricks. But, he is who he is at this point. He's playing the role that he's playing. Ben Brown has significant developments he needs to make, and as we saw yesterday, he's just too inconsistent to be doing that at the major league level. And so I think, in the hope that you're only using that 5th spot now for another couple weeks, maybe, hopefully sooner, if Jed is on the hop like the reports are saying, I think you defer to Ray because there's just less going on. Maybe the ceiling is lower if Brown was clicking, but Brown's got to work on the changeup, and he has to work on just what I was talking about, execution.
Yeah.
Putting hitters away with 2 strikes, competitive pitches, not letting those big innings get away from him, and that's all really tough to do at the major league level when you're trying to get out some really good hitters. So I think it's the right decision for now, and it's important. Ben Brown's an important figure in this organization. Getting him right, and I know some people want him in the bullpen, and maybe toward the end of the year, you make that decision just to finish the season and max things out. But when you have young guys that have good stuff and there's potential for them to be a cost-controlled starting pitcher for you, you got to kind of see that through. And so I am with the decision, go to Iowa, continue starting, try to work on that, and if you get to September and hit the AAA, if he's still there. The AAA season's over, you want to bring him up, start throwing bullets out of the bullpen, great. but the long-term value in finding out, like, for sure, if he can be a good starter for you is worth the time and exercise.
I don't disagree with that. All right. I have a response to that, everything he just said, and I'll give you that once we get back from the break. New vehicles are in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at the Employee Pricing Plus sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram vehicles. Lease the new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn for only $419 a month for 36 months, or finance at 1.9% for 72 months. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000, Corey. The team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during your step of your car shopping journey with Ray's Price Promise. You can shop confidently with no add-ons or hidden fees ever. The price you see is the price you pay. So go check out our partner today to shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Find the right new vehicle for you. Don't miss out on the Employee Pricing Plus sales event for huge savings on the Ram 1500. For more information, visit RayCDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com.
All right, Cody, you know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car, or in my case, and this is a true story, in the cup holder in front of my seat at Wrigley Field, and they will not let you back in there to grab them. Well, we've been there too. But then I found Shady Rays, and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here is the wild part. If you break or lose them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boats, and yes, at beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Okay, so my response to what Corey was saying related to Ben Brown, going back to Iowa, this and that, while I agree with it, my biggest fear, though, and why I think I'm like the only person who was kind of like he can stay, is just because I also feel like Colin Ray's floor is so low. And I feel like Brown's ceiling is high enough that I'm willing to risk it. The big thing, though, and this is transitioning to our last segment of the show, is who is going to pitch? Because, yeah, you're getting Shota back. He's going to pitch Thursday. But no one in this chat, and me and you, don't want to watch Colin Ray pitch again. Like, I'm just being honest with you, man. Yeah. Like, unless, and this is a big unless Shota is awesome immediately, which we can't expect that after not pitching for a month and a half, and Boyd and Cade Horton continue to do what they're doing, Taillon gets back on track, which I guess history says that he will, unless those 4 guys get back on track at the same time, I can live with Colin Ray as your 5 starter, like you said. That's really the only way that I can live with it. But I just don't see that happening right now. And maybe it's recency bias. I do think the rotation is better than what it's been the last week. We saw it in May. We saw it in April when they played one of the toughest schedules in baseball. So I think there's enough evidence that shows that. But right now, I just feels tough for any pitcher that's starting for the Cubs right now. So
yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I really do think, like, looking at Colin Ray's last, basically just the month of June here, 5 1/3, no runs, 4 1/3, 4 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 5 1/3, 7 runs. That's the most recent one against Seattle. If he doesn't go out for the 6th against Seattle, which I would not have done, but they don't have any off days, and the bullpen stacks would have been, 5 4 again? I think that's like the crux of this decision. Like, they trust Ray to just sort of be fine, and Brown is showing more of a tendency to be not fine at all in some of these starts, and they'd rather he be working on stuff. But yeah, dude, like hopefully this is a minimal thing. And Niren, our guy Niren in the chat brings up a good point too, that continuing to start guys like that create it's the problem we saw at the beginning of the year. Everybody hated the bullpen at the beginning of the year, right? And it was because no one was going deep into games. And if you ask the bullpen to throw 4 or 5 innings a night, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter who is in your bullpen. You're going to hate your bullpen. I promise you. It doesn't matter what team. Like, literally doesn't matter. I think the Giants maybe have one of the lowest bullpen ERAs.
They have the lowest bullpen ERA.
If their starters went 4 innings a night, I guarantee you that wouldn't be the case anymore. So you don't want the one problem to then compound and create a new problem.
Sure.
Right? So that is all part of the reason that it's like Jed can't snap his fingers and make teams make trades. Like, I know some people will say, like, oh, the Marlins have been way out of it. Like, they can hold Sandy until he looks his best and they get the best offer. They don't need to do that right now. But, like, this stretch of games should be a bit of a fire under your president's seat who doesn't have a contract at the end of the year. And I don't say that to suggest that Jed's every report says he is actively, like, very aggressively doing this. But yeah, like, it is an urgent need. They need Shota to come back. He doesn't have to come back and be Cy Young Shota. That's an unrealistic expectation for a guy coming back from an injury. But at least when he comes back, solid, and give them some length once he's fully stretched out and able to do that. You need Horton to continue. You need Boyd to continue. And you need Taillon to, like get his head out of his butt a little bit. Like, you know, he doesn't have to be great, but he's got to be better than this was a non-competitive loss. You didn't give this team a chance to win on a night when they scored 7 runs. Like, you got to be better than that. And so, yeah, it's an urgent need.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, my concern can be solved with some of these names that Kiley McDaniel and Jeff Passan put out today. They did like a top 50 trade deadline targets, and they put the Cubs with a long list of names. And Joey's about to show it up on the screen, but I'll list the names. Alex Bregman, which is hilarious. Sandy Alcantara, obviously. Eugenio Suarez, who we talked about yesterday. Seth Lugo, pitcher for the Royals. Zach Gallen, a pitcher for the D-backs. Merrill Kelly. Luis Severino, we haven't talked about him a ton. Tyler Mahle of the Rangers. Zach Eflin for the Orioles. And Walker Buehler from the Red Sox. And on the screen, they have all the percentages. They of like the percentage chance of them being traded, and with Zach Eflin, I believe, being the highest because he's on Baltimore, and Baltimore, it looks like they're probably selling. If there's anything that makes you feel good about the Cubs right now, is at least you're not the Orioles with the expectations they had coming into the season.
Some of these guys on this list, though, I want nothing to do with.
Right?
If Tommy Hotovy looked me in the eye and was like, "I got it," like I know what to do, I know how to figure it out. Like, great, but some of these names are, you'd be really banking on that. And I do trust the Cubs pitching infrastructure, but we were talking about this while we were watching the game. Like, it does feel like right now, and again, the options are the options. Who's available is who's available. Some deadlines, you know, the best pitcher in the world might be available. Some deadlines, it's slim pickings. And, you know, teams that are in it right now may be sellers in a month. Teams that are sellers right now may not be in a month. Or you have situations like Chris Sale where you're looking at that, like kind of rubbing your hands together, and then he gets hurt. And it's like, oh, okay, well, there goes that.
Well, so to push back a little bit, like some of the names that I kind of dig on here, I'm really interested about Walker Buehler. He was a guy that I wanted the Cubs to go get in the offseason. He's had a decent year with the Red Sox. He's a rental. He's not going to cost you a ton in terms of prospect capital. Obviously, Sandy is on there, and we need to continue to see him pitch better. And they're not going to trade him right now. They're going to hold on to him until the end of July, unless reports have changed, or unless the Cubs come with an offer they can't say no to, which, whatever. We can talk about that if it happens, right? Those two And then I see Luis Severino and Merrill Kelly. I like Merrill Kelly. He actually has a very similar makeup to a lot of pitchers they already have. He doesn't throw 100, but he has a great changeup. Sounds like a lot of pitchers the Cubs have had over the years. And he has a great playoff pedigree. He was just in the playoffs a couple years ago to help the Diamondbacks get to the World Series. He's pitched well against the Cubs. I feel like of the Diamondbacks pitchers that I think can actually be effective for you now, and it's not like a project, it's him. Zach Gallen is obviously a project. And if you can unlock or get him back on track, that would be a huge thing.
Sure.
I don't know how much he'll cost, but I also feel like he shouldn't cost you anything. He has the highest ERA in the National League or in all of baseball. But I remember when he was shoving it and helping the Diamondbacks get to the World Series, all right? So those are, like, as far as pitchers, those are kind of the guys that I'm, like, kind of into. And Walker Buehler is interesting because the Red Sox, they might be buying, and that's why they say they gave Alex Bregman a 10% chance that he'd be traded and listed the Cubs and, like, the Yankees as, like, potential landing spots. I think it was the Yankees. I could be wrong on that, but like the Red Sox aren't going to trade Bregman. I mean, if they did, they'd have to really fall apart.
I just feel like a lot of these guys, I mean, Gallen, as you said, I think has given up the most earned runs in baseball. Walker Buehler has a 6.3 ERA.
He must have had some recently bad starts because I've seen some good starts too.
Well, I think that's the crux of it is, like, you know that these guys have potential. You know that they've been successful.
But we know that the Cubs need to get 2 starters, in my opinion. And so, like,
one of them can be a project.
One of these guys, like the one guy that could be that number one guy is Sandy Alcantara. We need to see him pitch more to show it.
Yeah.
But the other guy has to be someone who can eat innings and, like, just keep you in games because, like we have been saying, and I've been saying the last 2 days, Colin Ray cannot stay in this rotation, man.
Well, and look, I mean, we've been talking about it all year, too, and we don't know what this is going to look like. But you may at some point need to prepare and be prepared. Like, as we sit here right now, we have no idea if Cade Horton can pitch every 5th day for the rest of the season and potentially into October. We have no idea whether Matthew Boyd can do it either, right? And even if they physically can, do they wear down?
Right.
Like, et cetera. So that's why even talking about guys like Wicks or Assad, get everybody healthy.
Yeah.
People, like, I saw when they signed, like, Kenta Maeda, people were like, what are they signing today? You need bodies, folks. Like, at some point, you just need bodies. Yeah. And in order to find them, you need even more bodies, and then you cut through the ones that aren't good enough, right? So I'm down. If I were Jed, I'd be trying to get as much starting pitching help as I could. Their main acquisition just can't be one of these guys where it's like, well, yeah, Zach Gallen was the man 2 years ago. It's like, okay, can he be the man tomorrow, though? Like, I trust Tommy Hotovy, and I know, like, if they're going to make a trade for a guy and you look and, say it was Walker Buehler and he's got a 6.5 ERA, they know what they're doing. Yeah. They're not, like, thinking, like, well, I don't know, maybe he'll turn it around. He was good for the Dodgers, a year ago or 2 years ago. They will have a very specific plan of what they're going to do to tweak, and we've seen them do it. Look at Brad Keller, look at Drew Pomeranz, look at Chris Flexen, like the way that they brought some of these guys in and figured these things out. But this team needs, and maybe Sandy's the one, now that Chris Sale's done, I don't know who's going to end up being available or the price. You need to acquire a starter that right now you would look everybody in the eye and say, I will give this man the ball in October.
Yeah.
Not if he turns it around. Not if we tweak his fastball so that it has more cut. Like, right now, this guy could fit in your rotation and start a playoff game. Yeah. That is what this team, to me, their number one need at this deadline. I would love Eugenio Suarez, too, though.
Yeah, and we talked about Eugenio Suarez yesterday. Cubs killer, Eugenio Suarez. I would like to mention the names that I listed, those, like, that was like the top 30. There were 20 more that they listed, but they didn't put names or teams to the names. So, like, some of those include, let me scroll down here. Sorry.
A lot of the names are popping up. Tyler Anderson, Andrew Heaney,
Edward Cabrera, Tyler Anderson, like Joey just said. A reliever I like is Jake Bird for the Rockies. He honestly might be the guy who represents them in the All-Star game. Michael Soroka for the Nationals. Shelby Miller's been closing games for the Diamondbacks, which is crazy. Cubs legend, by the way. And then as far as like position players, like IKF, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, we talked about the bench and how they need someone on the bench. Like there's some names here that I feel like the Cubs should be intrigued about. Kyle Finnegan, another reliever that they could add to this bullpen. All right. So anyway, I don't have much else to say. We are about out of time. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow, I'm sure, and hopefully the Cubs win. All right. So, Corey, you got anything else before we get out of here? Nah, you're good?
Well, all right, do we have to do we have to go into overtime?
No, I don't think so. We're done.
We're done, baby. We're in it. I'll throw some names out there really quick. Nathan Eovaldi, we talk about him a whole lot. I'd love to see him in a Cubs uniform. And also the Minnesota Twins, 12.5 games out of the AL Central, 5.5 out of the wild card, Joe Ryan.
Okay. They may be a team. I will. Last thing I'll say, and I saw it in the chat, and I disagree with it very strongly. I wouldn't necessarily treat this deadline as empty the farm, sell everything, you must win in 2025. But this team has a really good shot right now. There's some clear flaws, but you have your 23-year-old superstar hitting the best possible outcome. You've got Kyle Tucker for the year. You're getting some really good performances. You're up in the division, even if that lead has slimmed. So, you don't have to sell in, but this is different. 2023, 24, we were looking at that, these teams are pretty good. They're in the mix. Maybe they should buy to try to get in the playoffs. This team has a lot of what it takes to screw around in October.
Yeah.
And it would be a mistake not to supplement it to give them a real shot.
Yeah.
This team is close, man.
I agree.
So I would push in a good bit if the stuff is worth it to acquire. Go for it, man. this is a good shot to win.
That's a great way to end the show. I appreciate y'all. Hit the like button before you head out of here. Hopefully the Cubs get back on track tomorrow. Cubs lose 8-7 to the Cardinals. Me and Luke will be back tomorrow for postgame, hopefully a winning postgame. We'll see y'all then. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.